Hi, this is Loretta coming at you with another video. And this video, I'm sorry to say, is taking me a really long time to get to. I had a request. Let me just tuck these tags back into this pocket. I had a request to do a tutorial on this little page that I did for a swap. And I hope you can see this little page. Let me bring it a little closer. Anyway, it's a page that I did for a little swap where the requirements were that you had to use a paper napkin. You had to have, it needed to be 4x4. It needed to have botanicals and a bird. And so this is the page that I came up with. These little tags just slip out. So I'm going to try not to run too long on showing you the tutorial on how to make this. The first thing that you're going to need is, I used craft cardstock. The requirements were that you needed to have lightweight chipboard, but I figured since my page would be 2 craft cardstock together, that would qualify as a light, can't talk today, chipboard. And everyone seemed to like my page, so I think that worked out fine. So the way that you'll make the foundation for this page is that you'll need 1 piece of craft cardstock that is cut to 5 inches this way and 4.5 inches this way. Then what you'll need to do is you'll need to score on the 5-inch side, you'll need to score 1/2 inch from each edge. And then on the 4.5 inch side, you'll need to score one side at 1/2 inch. And then what you'll do is you'll take, after you've scored your lines, you'll take and you'll cut on these lines, the corner right here, from each side on the 5-inch part that you cut. And then what you'll do is you'll actually cut this piece at the bottom, this little flap, just a little tiny chunk out at an angle. I hope you can see that. Just not much, just a little tiny bit out from each side. And then what you'll do is you'll just take these. And I'm going to glue this writing on the inside. I just wrote that down so you guys would be able to see that. But then what you're going to do is that you're going to take your flaps, I guess is what you'll say, these little flaps right here that you have that you've scored. And you can clean it up and, you know, get you some nice clean fold lines right here. Anyway, I'm trying to see if you can see, you know, how I've got this. But so anyway, you're going to fold this up, this bottom flap, and you're going to run some tape there. And then you're going to put each of the flaps over like so. And then you're just going to run some adhesive on the long side of that. Okay, like so. Alright. And if you have a little piece sticking out like I do right there, just cut it off. No big deal. And then you're going to take your 4x4 square, 4-inch by 4-inch square, and you're going to put it over the top of the pocket that you just made. Okay. And if your pocket doesn't turn out perfect like mine didn't, you know, I just always take my little Tim Holtz scissors or whatever kind of scissors you have, and I just clean it up a little bit. Just like so. Okay, so there you have it. There's your little 4x4 pocket ready to go. Okay, so then for this, you also had to use a napkin. And this is the napkin that I used right here. So what I did is I took and separated the pieces of the napkin. And if y'all want to fast forward through this, feel free to. crease. Alright, now I've got my 2 pieces of napkin that I'm going to use to cover my pocket page. Alright. Now for this, I'm using Perfect Paper Adhesive, but you don't really have to use Perfect Paper Adhesive. I'm just using this because I happen to have it from other projects, but you can even use Elmer's glue, but just water the glue down is what you really want to do, is to just water the glue down. This dries pretty quick, so you need to work pretty quick. I don't know why I just took the top off that. You need to work pretty quick, and I'm just gonna and of course it wants to be fussy when I'm trying to get it to go on camera, so of course it's not going to work like I want it to work. So I'm just going to pour some. Okay, and now for the other side, I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to put some of my glue on the back of the page, and I'm just going to paint the glue on there. Got too much here. And I'm just going to make sure. And then for the other side, you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to pick where you want the napkin to adhere, and then you're just going to set it down. And then I'm just going to make sure that the napkin is adhered like it should be. Then all I did was I let these dry overnight, because they will need to dry. This napkin is going to be very wet, and it's going to cause the rest of the page to be wet, so you'll want to let that dry overnight. Once it dries, let's talk about the rest of the page. What I did was, for the inside, I took and I cut in some matching paper 3 4x4 squares, and then I used a corner chomper, and I used this stub deco, and I used the deco edge, and I just slipped the pages in there and corner chomped the edges. And then I used my crocodile, and I punched a hole in the center, and I put a piece of ribbon right there to ribbon hold the tags together. Then what I did is I took some of this ribbon, and I took my distress ink, my vintage photo, and I just simply took some of my distress ink right here, and I dabbed it real good on there. And then I just took my ribbon and I slid the distress ink across the ribbon just to distress the ribbon. And you can see what happens is that this light part of the ribbon resisted the ink, and which I thought that turned out really cool. So I just took that piece of the ribbon and I glued a piece of ribbon right here on either side of the page. Okay. Then I took and I just went outside and I got a twig, and I broke that off, and I took some little Prima Got flowers, but you could easily punch those flowers too from a punch if you wanted to. And I put a little piece of blue pearl in the center of each of these, blue flat back pearl, and then I glued the stick on there, and underneath the flower I stuck one of the Tim Holtz memo pins, and over the top of this vase I stuck a SOAR Tim Holtz adage ticket, and I distressed the edges of that with vintage photo. And this is a Recollections butterfly, that I also distressed with Vintage Photo, and I just glued that to the center of that butterfly right there. Okay, then on the opposite side, what I did is I glued a piece of the ribbon. I glued a string of flat back pearls. I cut a bird from my Cricut, and I used the same blue half back pearl for the eye. And then I used Recollections Paper Rose, and again I distressed these with the Vintage Photo. And then I left the wire on, and I glued the blue flower over the top of the flower in the frame. And that's it. Other than that, I took my 3 tags and inserted those. I did not put those all the way in because we needed some room for binding on this side, so which you can just easily scoot the butterfly and the flowers over and bind on this edge, and you won't wind up catching the tags. And that's basically how I made this page. So if you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to let me know. And again, I'm so sorry it took me so long to get this tutorial out to you guys. And until next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye now.